My fiancée and I decided to break up, but she couldn't move out due to the lockdown. After about 4 months of isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. Posted by u/throw_ra_11123. I am not from the US and I'm also not a native English speaker, so I apologize in advance if there are any confusing sentences in this post. My fiancé, 26F, and I, 27M, have been dating since college, and as soon as we graduated, I proposed to her. However, we decided to get married only once we were both financially stable and secure in our jobs. 2 years down the road, we've also been living together for that long, we now meet those requirements. However, our love for each other disappeared, or at least the spark we used to have. We became very busy, her with her graduate education and job, and me with my work. I admit I've been spending way too much time in the office, and once I get home, I use my free time to get ahead with deadlines and other tasks. She's also constantly stressed as she's juggling her education and her teaching job. We never had time for each other anymore, but we were still busy enough not to even notice that. Then March came, she approached me about the subject, and we had a long talk. It was an emotional one, we've known each other for so long, after all, and we were reaching our end after so many years. She was already in the process of booking flights to stay with her parents for a while when the lockdown was announced. She decided not to go home anymore out of fear of possibly carrying the virus and infecting her family. I agreed with that decision, and since then, we've been isolating together. We're both working from home now, and she also finished her studies in April. Because of that, we've been having a lot of free time. At first, it felt a bit awkward. I didn't even know how to talk to her anymore. I had gotten used to short and empty small talk with her. But she's always known how to get me out of my shell, so it didn't take too long before we were having full conversations once again. I just found out that she's developed a newfound love for playing Sims 4. She showed me the family she was currently playing with, and I noticed that it was herself and me, plus a dog and a cat whose names were our birth months, lol. She had been so shy initially, but she doesn't know that I was also feeling flustered then. I think this is the start of me questioning our decision to break up. After that, it was the small things. I also caught her up on how my life has been, like my crappy supervisor, how I haven't been taking care of my health lately, etc. And since then, she started pushing me to work out with her, and she's also been trying to get me into healthier food options. I also came to find out new things about her in these months, which is surprising considering how we've been together for many years now. These past few months have been really good. I feel like I've been brought back to the times when we first met, and I feel like a high schooler with a crush. The thing is, I'm not sure if I can trust my feelings right now. The only person I've had contact with was her, except for my frequent calls with family and friends, and I may just be experiencing infatuation. I also think we're lucky since we're both very free right now. But I keep thinking, what happens after the lockdown ends? Will we go back to being those busy people who have too little time for each other? I also don't know how to approach her about this. She's always been the talker in our relationship, you know. But at the same time, I'm also afraid to talk about it and potentially ruin things for us right now. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if she's just treating me kindly because that's who she is, a genuinely kind person? The only hope I'm holding on to right now is the fact that she hasn't planned on going back to her family yet, despite domestic travel being allowed in our country now. How do I go about this? /relevant comments. Commenter. I think maybe try it while y'all are talking or playing a game or doing something together. Just say, I don't think I want to break up anymore, and that should get the conversation started. Op's response. Oh boy, I've honestly tried so many times to bring it up. We were playing Sims once, and in my head, I was yelling at myself to ask why she made our family in that game, but I could never get the words out. Instead, I just went silent the whole time while she talked. Sigh. Commenter 2. Not to put too fine a point on it, but you not talking to her was a big part of the problem in the first place. Commenter 3. When my fiancé and I were in a rough place, I bought Sims. He eventually started playing too, and the first household he made was the two of us, our 2 cats, a dog, and a toddler. He realized that was how he was feeling subconsciously, he did want to be with me. The outside world will do what it can to make your life harder. There are already challenges and time crunches in relationships, but when you add bad supervisors and studying for school, phew, it's no wonder things got pushed to the back burner. If your problem with the relationship was the spark, and you seemingly have that back, why would you be worried about not trusting yourself? I get that quarantine is isolating, but this isn't some random person on the internet or your delivery food driver. You know this person. Update 6 days later. So the day after posting that, nothing really happened. I spent that day reflecting on what kind of future I see and want with her. I also thought a lot about the past, how we messed it up, how we both got too lost in our jobs, etc. In my original post, I asked if what I'm feeling could be just an infatuation that would go as quickly as it came. But I realized that my feelings for her never really disappeared to begin with. It's like my heart just went into a deep sleep and I forgot how many feelings I carry for her. I think some of you may know, and have pointed out, that I'm not really good at communicating my feelings. I tend to keep things to myself, and my fiancée is one of the few people who can be patient with that. Some suggested writing a letter instead, or a note, or marrying her in The Sims. I ended up with drafts of sappy letters that I ended up scrapping and a sad attempt to recreate us in The Sims. But still, I wanted to make an effort to show her what I couldn't say through words. I've heard about her wanting a few DLCs in The Sims in the past, so I had the idea to buy a few for her. Sims DLCs are pretty expensive, especially in our currency. I surprised her by stealing her laptop for a few hours, and once I gave it back to her, she was elated and so happy. It was really nice seeing her get so excited over it. We played together that whole day and tried to solve the mystery in Strangerville, a game pack in The Sims. It was so fun. The next day, I found her in the kitchen trying to bake something. It was a blueberry cheesecake recipe she saw on YouTube. I basically became her cooking assistant that day, helping her as much as I could, and we ended up with a pretty decent outcome that I bet would have tasted better if I hadn't messed up so much. She still said she had so much fun and loved the cheesecake, though. The next day, which was just yesterday, something important happened. We were basically just snuggled up on the couch playing when our Sims autonomously tried for baby in the bed. It was hilarious, and we initially laughed about it, but then we got pretty silent. She then closed her laptop and hugged me tightly, without saying anything. I think that was my realization that, oh, she feels the same as I do. So I knew I had to speak up. I'm still impressed with myself for managing to talk yesterday without choking up, basically opening up the conversation like, "Are you planning to go to your parents soon?" And she said no, she doesn't feel like it yet. I asked her why, and she told me she wanted to stay. I told her I wanted her to stay too. We went to sleep that night just huddled together. And even though we didn't really explicitly say it, I think we're now aware of each other's feelings, and it feels like a really huge improvement to me. Earlier we ate breakfast together. We weren't as chatty as we've been the last few months, but the silence was comforting. We also watched Knives Out together. We haven't had the conversation yet, but I'm going to bring it up to her tonight. I'm really glad this whole ordeal went much nicer than I expected it would, and I'm relieved I didn't let my doubts get the best of me. Though I still have to get better at how I communicate things, I'm going to learn, for her. Thank you to everyone who left nice comments on my original post. I apologize again if there are any mistakes in my post. I'm not a native English speaker, nor am I from the USA. Second update same day. Okay, hi. I posted this thinking the same people who saw my last post would respond, and seeing that a few users wanted an update back then, I thought, what the hell, why not give them a little update right now and leave it at that? Now I have 5x the audience I had last time. Right now, my fiancée is sleeping next to me. Yes, we had the talk. As soon as I posted this, I logged out and gathered myself so I could tell her what's been on my mind for months. It's not really something so exciting. We basically just sat down together and talked about what went wrong before. I told her the things I said in my last post, and she admitted to worrying about what happens after the lockdown gets fully lifted too. We both acknowledged that we worked too hard to become financially stable so that we can get married. Right now, though, all we could do was promise and talk about how we're going to manage our time better, since we have no idea if our country is ever going to return to normal, the curve is not getting flattened at all, and the quarantine is about to get extended again. And then we talked about our feelings. I got to tell her I love her again, for the first time in years probably, and she told me the same. After that, it was back to a lighter conversation. We basically just bonded until she fell asleep. I honestly thought only a handful of people would see my post. I made sure to use Reddit because this isn't really a big platform in our country, and I was sure she wouldn't see this post, but now that there are like 20k upvotes as I'm typing this, I think she might stumble upon it sooner or later. Well then, I know she's going to be whining a lot about this, but she'd be glad to know that a lot of people found our relationship wholesome. Thank you all for the kind comments. I know some people are thinking, why haven't you just talked to her in the first place? But getting some perspective from other people really did help give a push. I think if I had left myself alone with the thoughts I was having, things would have gone a lot worse, so I'm really grateful. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the awards I received since this is just a throwaway account, but it's still cool. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can and then log out. Thank you again. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Beautiful. So happy for you. Please remember this story later in your life. I've been married for over 10 years. There are times like this in every long-term relationship when you just aren't feeling the same level of connection and love for each other. It could be because you're too busy or because you're going through some kind of significant trial that gets in the way. You can avoid some of these barriers, but not all of them. You have to agree to stay together through some lows, knowing that your relationship has the strength to come back. You have to be deliberate about finding ways to build your connection and show love for each other. You have to agree to be kind to each other, to always see each other as beautiful human beings, even when you don't feel the same level of connection. If you can do that, you have the capacity to have a beautiful, rewarding, long-term relationship. Wishing you the best. Ops response. Thank you for this. When we broke up, we really thought it was for the best. It was a mutual thing. We talked about this earlier, and she admitted that she felt guilty since she was the one who brought it up, so she thought she was responsible for our breakup. I made sure to tell her that's not the case. I can see now that we both didn't try hard enough. I know other people have had it hard during this quarantine, but I guess we're really lucky that we found a way to turn this bad thing into an eye-opening experience for both of us.